And then again, I send the customer message and make an assertion. So what you get here, at any point in the conversation, independently, assuming that the conversation is at this state. I want to show you something pretty cool I just created for Parlint. It should be coming out in, I would say roughly a week, maybe 2 weeks in version 3.1.3. Basically, it's an evaluation framework for Parlint. And if you've kind of followed me on, with my posts and all, I have a lot of criticism for how agent evaluations are usually done today. And we've also had a lot of success in Parlint with a different approach to evaluation, where instead of just kind of testing vague measures such as is the response friendly, is it professional, complete, comprehensive, etc., things which are if it comes back with a yes or a no, what does that really tell you? I don't think it's that valuable. But we've had a lot of success over the past couple of years testing Parlint with a different approach. And this approach requires a little bit more work and nuance in defining what is correct behavior for your agent. And the way it works is you set up a conversation with some agent given some guidelines that it has, and then you make assertions on exactly what's in the response at a particular point in the conversation. For example, if you have an agent that's guided to offer a Pepsi upon greeting the customer, then you would have the assertion that after the customer says hello, there is an offering of a Pepsi, right? So very, very kind of specific and clear assertions makes for a very stable test suite that really lets you know if your agent is doing what it's supposed to be doing or not. That also means that you know what your agent is supposed to be doing, which unfortunately is not true enough for a lot of teams these days because everybody's still trying to figure out the whole agent game. But nonetheless, I think you should know what your agent should be doing. You should be dictating large parts of its behavior, guiding it, and therefore you should be able to make assumptions and assertions on it. And with that in mind, I want to show you a new evaluation framework that I've been working on. Finally, I've gotten time for it now that we've released the MC distillation platform. I've gotten some free time, you might say, to do this project, which I've been thinking about for a long time, for I would say at least 6 months. So let me show you what I have and what's coming soon to Parliament. Right, so in this terminal here, I have my Parlint agent running. It's running the healthcare agent example. So, it can help with getting lab results back or scheduling an appointment with your doctor. But in this case, what I want to show you is I'm only using this example, which is the healthcare example. I want to show you how I'm going to test it. So, and this is going to be very high level. So I create a test suite, and then I create a scenario. In the scenario, I create a conversation session, and I send, being the customer, I send hello. I get the response back, and I assert that the response should be a friendly greeting or an offer to help. Simple, right? And then I also have an intentionally failing test here because I want to show you what that looks like when I actually run it. Another successful test here. But, and this is really where I think it gets interesting, check this out. So with suite session, a session, await session unfold. What does unfold mean? You're unfolding a conversation, right? So what's going to happen here is something very interesting and I think very, very useful for testing your agents. And I actually haven't seen this anywhere, but I'm telling you, like, this is going to be the shit. I'm sure of it, fairly sure. Well, a customer comes in, says hello, and here in agent message, I need to specify two things. One is the ideal response that I expect from the agent, and secondly, a description of what I expect the response to be like. So the ideal response here would be, "Hi there, how can I assist you today?" But otherwise, it should be a friendly greeting of some kind. Once that is done in this conversation, then I want the customer to say, "Can you help me schedule an appointment?" And based on the healthcare example, I know that at this point, the agent must determine the reason for the visit. That is its instruction. So I want to verify it. And so the ideal response would be, what's the reason for your visit? But otherwise, I want to make two assertions on the nature of the response because I can't know exactly what the text of the response would be, which will, by the way, I'll tell you in a second why I'm including the ideal response here. But otherwise, the response should ask for the reason for the visit, and also it should be polite. So these are two separate assertions. You can have obviously as many as you want, and so forth, right? I conduct the conversation the way I know it should be in the happy path of the agent's journey, a very simple test, which I know should pass. But what's interesting about this is that what happens if your agent got one of these wrong? You might look at this and feel that and think that this is a test that, as soon as something here fails, as soon as an assertion fails, nothing continues. But it's not how this works. And there's a reason for that. So how this works is this is one test. Anytime you see a should, that's actually a separate test, but they accumulate. So in this case, the session starts empty. We send the customer message and then make an assertion about the agent's response. But in this test, we preload a new conversation session with these two messages. So with the customer message and with the ideal agent message here, right? So this comes preloaded. Now the session starts off as customer saying hello and the agent saying, how can I assist you? And then in the second test, I then send this customer message, and then I make this assertion on the following response. And then in the third test that gets generated here, all of these come preloaded with the ideal agent messages. And then again, I send the customer message and make an assertion. So what you get here is you can see how the agent would respond at any point in the conversation independently, assuming that the conversation is at this state. Why this is cool is because conversations with LLM agents are diverse, are fluid. They don't always follow the same exact pattern. So it's really useful to be able to say not just this is the turn by turn sequence that should always happen here. That's very hard to guarantee with LLM agents. But what you can guarantee here is that given that this is the state of the conversation, this is going to be the next response of the agent, and that's really useful. Gives you a lot of confidence. So you can imagine building up a test suite like this, which would help you detect regressions, help you validate and verify that your agent has the correct behavior. Now, let me show you what it looks like when I actually run it. So I'm going to open up this terminal here. We can parallelize the test, which is useful because these tests take a while to run because after all, this is an LLM agent. Compute takes time. So I'm going to parallelize these tests to 3 workers. And let me show you what that looks like. So you can see we're waiting for the agent to respond in each of these cases. It's making an evaluation. One of them failed. And now we see what's left here is the one that unfolds. So we're going to see each of the steps one by one, right? So now I think it's the second step. Now the customer is asking, can you help me schedule an appointment? The agent is going to come back with a message, and we're making 2 assertions on the message. The test passed, and it goes on like this. So why is this cool? Because you can, first of all, I think it's pretty cool UI, and I'm excited to share it with everybody soon. But look at this. I mean, can it get better than this? I don't know. I'm a terminal guy anyway. We're gonna do the same with a graphic user interface soon. Things are coming up with MC. Stay tuned. But I'm a terminal guy at heart, so I really love seeing something like this. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think this is awesome. With our clients, we're gonna start using this a lot to ensure that agents behave the way they should. So once the test suite completes, then we're gonna clean up all the sessions because these are actual sessions that have been created on your Parlance server. And now we're gonna clean them up. And we finally get to see a report which contains the failed tests. We can see exactly what failed, right? So the expectation was, which by the way, this is an intentionally failing test, okay? The expectation was that the agent should claim to be a dinosaur from outer space. We can see the actual message and the reasoning for why the evaluation framework did not consider the actual message to be as expected, because this is a test using an LLM as a judge. So very flexible, I think very efficient, a very cool way to ensure that your agents behave correctly. And it's going to come out soon, like I said, aimed for Parlance 3.1.3 in hopefully a week or 2. If anybody wants to test this soon, I think it will be on the development branch probably in a few days, probably by the end of the week. So let me know what you think. And thank you so much for staying with me for so long.